Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair, and here basically we are discussing about the formula that is basically 196th part. And in last topic, basically we had discussed about the 24 lakh crore basically which businessman is investing in the one city, and he want basically return as much as fast as possible because it's if he is investing the money, then basically he need the return also, because after getting the return money, then basically he have to invest to other city. Like this basically the money gets has to be rotated, then only basically he will get more money, because this comes to, I think, business chain, basically what the business chain. And here basically now basically we are going to talk about one, the most dangerous topic basically. This actually each and every businessman basically who are in the world, they must know. Each and every businessman, even a small shopkeeper, and even a big businessman, number one businessman or number two, number three, they are supposed to know this video. And this 196 number video, they each and every people has to be know. Each and every people basically must watch this video, because this is the more dangerous video which I'm going to talk. The video is this, basically topic is related to the land. This topic is related to the land. Assume that earth planet is created from 1 lakh planet. Number basically might be totally different, but don't go by number side. Just see the basically what actually the user story is. Assume that the earth planet is created, earth planet is created from 1 lakh planets. This is clear. Now basically the main thing here is the earth planet is created on the base of certain stories. This is also clear. Earth planet, assume that before earth planet there was a 1 lakh planet basically. There basically the human were staying, and they basically were generating the user stories. User stories means, if you are staying in the world, right, then you have the friend. It's not like that all the friendship relationship are finished. It's not like that, right? Friends are there, relatives are there. Your if you are married, then your wife's families are there. If you are not married, then you are going to be married, that family is there. If you are divorcee, then basically the second marriage family basically might be within pipeline. So like this basically the user stories are basically getting generated, right? So this is basically our planet user story. So here the same thing basically in 1 lakh planet, basically there was some, assume that there was some around 5000 around 5000 user stories. 5000 user story. Just see basically how dangerous this topic is going to reach. Just dangerous how this topic is going to reach. So basically here the stories is of 5000. There are basically 5000 user stories on the base of 1 lakh planet. The earth planet is created, right? This basically, this much is clear. Just listen each and every words basically very carefully. Now this is clear. The number is 5000 user stories. That is basically the 5000 stories from 1 lakh planet. The earth planet is created. This much is clear, right? Now the planets, that is basically the earth planet is getting created with the help of 5000 satellites. Assume that 5000 user stories, 1 lakh planet, and 5000 satellites are creating. When the earth planet is getting created, that time only basically the satellites are connected with that 5000 user stories, 1 lakh uh, planets. So like this basically the earth planet got created. So just imagine this is basically the like the birth process, basically how the birth process is happening. Same way the earth planet is connected with the satellites, that 5000 satellites. So the data is coming, data is going, data is coming, data is going. So just see basically how the dangerous data science project is uh, going to be. This might be, I think, the one of the new project. Basically, this might, after this video, I think one of the new project might get generated in the IT industry. So like this, and here basically we are going to see that also, that how the Bollywood industries are earning up the crores of money, how basically they are earning, and what are the reason, and how the public is giving the money to the Bollywood group. That also we are going to see how the Bollywood groups are getting crores of money. For example, one hero, one actor basically signed the movie, and that movie got hit, and he demanded that I want the partnership of this movie. Then basically he was getting 100 crore per month. So how basically is earning 100 crore, that also we are going to see in this movie, and how basically the producer told that yeah basically you can take this money also. How that what is the reason basically that I am going to tell this. So just see how dangerous this video is going to be. So here basically now the topic has reached to 5,000 user stories, 5,000 satellites, 1 lakh planet has created Earth planet. This much is clear. Now Earth planet is created and assume that the entire world is also created. And here basically we are going to take about one topic, sorry, one not one topic, two cities land. One city is Mumbai city and another city is Vadodara city. One city is Mumbai city and another city is Vadodara city. Assume that Mumbai city is created from 200 user stories. From 5,000, 200 user stories has created the Mumbai land. That is basically around, I think, 800 kilometers area. Just taking as an example, in real number, basically it might be totally different. Um uh, 800 from 800 kilometer, the Mumbai area is created on the base of 200 user stories. From that 5,000 user stories. What are those 5,000 user stories? That basically we are going to discuss later on. Here basically we are going to discuss about the Mumbai user story. Mumbai user story basically created on the base of 200 user stories. How much? 200. So Mumbai basically created on the base of 200 user stories. So the user story was there were seven friends in the planet in the that 1 lakh planet. In any of the one planet, there were seven friends basically. From the seven friends, all basically got married, but only one friend basically was not able to do the marriage. Just see basically the effect basically going to happen each and every person basically. That's why basically the government says that we have to care each and every person. That's why basically the free medical equipments are there, free medicines are basically given, free shelters are basically given, free everything, lots of free things are basically given. And lots of government says that take everything free. That type of government are also there, take everything free. Few people say that we will do your marriage also. For example, Bhageshwar Guru Maharaj, he says that basically we are basically ready to give girl also for marriage. So just see why this all the thing basically is getting generated. So here the user story is that 1 lakh planet generated 5,000 user stories. From 5,000 user stories, 200 user stories was of seven friends. On the base of seven friends, basically that Mumbai city got created. Mumbai city got created. From that, 200 user stories. And the 200 user story was basically containing seven friends user stories. And here the story was there were seven friends. From the seven friends, six friends basically got married and they basically had the normal life. And they basically got birth, they got basically got child. But the one friend basically was not able to get the marriage. One friend basically was not able to get the marriage. This everything energy is basically generating that in that planet. And due to that 200 story user story basically also got generated. That's why basically the lots of things basically are system basically are generated in Earth planet. Reason this type of thing basically Earth planet is not supposed to generate. Earth planet is not supposed to generate this type. Otherwise, basically, universe will say that Earth planet has basically created problem in universe. So just see basically what is the user story. So that one friend basically was not able to do the marriage. The sixth friend basically was married and well settled, but the sixth friend basically was not able to do the marriage, and that friend basically don't know that about the sixth friend basically. That first seventh friend basically he was not able to do the marriage, and he was basically having his bad lifestyle due to not able to get the marriage. Then basically at last basically that seventh friend basically died, and all the six friend basically got the message that our that friend basically seventh number friend got died. He basically died in the bad condition. So this user story is already generated in that planet. So that time basically the user story got generated that when the basically that six friend basically was staying in the life. uh, uh, Whenever basically were thinking about that friend basically, they told that if we had helped that friend basically, then if we basically had done the marriage of that particular friend, then basically he might be also having the normal life. So this is the user story which was generated from 200 stories. So 200 story basically generated the Mumbai city. Just see basically how the things are basically going to connect. Sorry, the not 200 story, the set of story basically got generated the Mumbai. And in this basically the 200 user stories is also there. Assume that that user story might be 1000 user story. In that 1000 basically 200 user stories are also there, right? Now basically just see what are the things going to happen. Now basically assume that in Earth planet, whatever the thing basically whatever the user stories has generated the Earth planet, that things are basically 100% going to happen in this world. But that world basically which is getting generated, that is not supposed to repeat the mistake basically that universe that the 1 lakh planet has done. So that's why basically the Earth planet was created. That's why basically the Earth planet was created. But the same thing basically Earth planet, few place basically things was happening. Just see basically why the government is earning lots of money. Why the Bollywood groups are basically why the Bollywood industry basically got created. What was the reason behind the Bollywood industry got created? There might be some reason, right? That group basically got created. There might be some reason. Without any reason, basically the Bollywood group not create. So now here the scenario is 800 user story basically generated the Mumbai city, and in this 200 user story was also there. Now basically the scenario is whenever this type of 200 user story basically of the seven friends basically was generating in the Earth planet, same scenario basically seen, which was ongoing. The stories was ongoing. That friends were basically not taking care of the friends. Same user story was ongoing. That time basically the power company has captured that energy. The nuclear company processed the data. The power company sent the data. Energy company done the process the data, and they basically passed the data to the Earth planet. Now assume that that power basically the energy basically was generated of the friends basically the same user story was ongoing. That user story basically connected to the Mumbai city. The Mumbai city got that power supply. That power supply basically the user story which was generated, that user stories power basically got generated to the Mumbai. So whenever the Mumbai was getting the power supply for few days, that time basically they were getting this user stories, and exactly that time the satellite group basically passed that 200 user stories also of the seven friends. Just see the dangerous thing basically. That time basically, that day basically what happened, that day basically Mumbai lots of land basically got destroyed. Lots of building got basically destroyed. Why? Because the Earth planet is created. The reason was that that planets basically was not able to generate good user stories, and due to that user stories, that 200 user story was basically captured by the universe, and that exact same user story basically got generated in Earth planet, and exact that time basically the 200 user story was also passed. 200 user story was also passed. But this type of thing basically very rare. Basically, this happened. This basically happens very rare. That basically is the time. That's basically is the time going to come. That type of thing also basically lots of people says that the time. That's why basically the Bollywood industry. Lots of people says that we have to leave Mumbai, but there is no need of leaving the Mumbai, right? Because this type of but when the day this type of user story is going to generate, exactly that time basically is going to come. That time basically 100% there are more lots of buildings is going to fall, because the Mumbai city is created on the base of 800 user stories, and in this 800 user story 200 user stories are basically of that friends. So whenever in Mumbai, basically land was created of 800 user stories, but in this basically 200 user story, basically what where in which land basically that was created, that land is going to create problem. Not entire 800, but 800 is going to affect, right? 800 land is 800 user stories. Land is 100% going to affect. Why? Because the lands are connected with each other. Lands are connected with each other. So same way, basically assume that in Vadodara city is also created like this only. City is also created like this only. Vadodara city story is like that. Assume that basically the user story might not be correct. Just taking as an example, but the things basically whatever things I am telling, that is 100% correct. That's why basically the Bollywood groups are telling that we are basically earning the lots of money, and that's why basically we are taking sometime earning the 100 crore rupees, because they that group basically know that how the Earth planet is created, which user story basically has created Mumbai land, which user stories has created Vadodara land, and which power supply is not supposed to pass to the Vadodara land, which power supply is not supposed to pass to the Mumbai land, which power supply is not supposed to pass to the at this time, because it might possible that satellite group might pass that user stories. Satellite group, that means satellite groups are tracking each and every energies. Satellites groups are tracking each and every energies. That's why it has to be very very careful that which type of power supply you are passing to the Mumbai city, to the Bangalore city, to the Vadodara city, to each and every city, which type of power supply basically you are passing. That Bollywood group knows, right? That's why basically they are earning 100 and 100 crore, right? Because they have the each and every user stories of each and every cities, and this group basically know up to this level also that which land basically has generated from the which user stories. That's why basically they are earning more than 100 crore per month, right? Because if you are earning this many money basically, then there might be some reason that public is giving you money. Public is giving you money, right? Nobody else is giving you the money. Public is giving you money means like this basically. For example, you created one movie, and that movie got hit, so in front of public basically you got hit, you got a good repo. Then basically you started earning the money from the advertising, from the product basically you are selling, and you basically then the condition with the company also, that basically we want the profit of this whatever basically you are going to sell. So like this basically you are earning the profit also from that product. So like this it's more than 100 crore also per month. Like this more than 100 crore also you are earning. So like this basically the public is telling that we are basically so the public knows that the land basically which is created, that have some set of user stories, and Bollywood group basically keeping the secret of the user stories, that this particular city basically has generated from this user story. So now each and every user story basically the public is knowing, sorry, the Bollywood groups are knowing, the directors are knowing, the writers are knowing. Main here is the writers basically of the Bollywood industry, right? Writers of the Bollywood industry. So it's basically not only Bollywood, but it's Hollywood, because not only India land is there. There are outside India land is also there. UA is there, New Zealand is there, USA is there, UK is there. So these all basically are created from set of user stories only. From set of user stories only, the things are basically created, right? So which are user stories? That basically everything basically the Bollywood groups knows. So these all are basically the normal thing for Bollywood groups because they are basically sending the power supply to each and every cities. So which power supply is not supposed to be passed, which power supply is supposed to be passed. That basically each and every user stories basically Bollywood groups have. And exactly same thing software industry basically is going to generate, right? Software industry also basically has jumped into the power supply because they also have the human need creation. Basically they have done the human need creation, they have done the power supply creation, they have created the water also. So the blood cells is also generated, and according to the blood cells basically you have to pass the power supply also. So in this power supply chain basically you have to generate your user story also. For example, you created potato, so on the base of which user story basically you created the potato, that basically your data science industry basically, that is now basically nowadays the data science industry is going to play main role, right? Because which user stories has created this potato, which user stories has created this capsicum, that basically everybody must be knowing, right? Why? Because the data science project are basically earning lots of money also, and this data science project are directly connected with the Bollywood groups. Why? Because Bollywood groups are telling that we are basically taking the data from this data science project only. We are not basically the god, we are not the god, right? So like this Bollywood groups has sold. So like this the data science project become the most costly project nowadays. Why? Because on the base of which user story the potato has created, that basically data science, it's a data science project. And this basically comes into the artificial intelligence project also. Artificial intelligence project also. Because artificial intelligence equal to set of data, right? Artificial intelligence equal to set of data. So Earth planet basically is created on the base of 5,000 user stories. That basically satellites groups knows this. Mumbai land is basically created from the 800 user stories. That Mumbai city knows that, and assume that Mumbai city is getting power supply from. Assume that Mumbai city is getting power supply from 500 cities. Assume that they are getting power supply from 500 cities. Just taking as an example. Now the 500 city basic. So basically this actually Mumbai city has to take care, right? Because they are getting power supply, they are staying there. The 500 basically city who are passing the power supply, they are not basically supposed to know, right? They are not supposed to know. The Mumbai city is supposed to know this, that they are getting the power supply of from 500 cities, and this basically the Bollywood group basically might be 100% knowing, and the number one businessman basically of the Mumbai, the 100% might be knowing, right? Because they are taking money from the public, right? They are taking money from the public. So public basically care. These groups only have to do that are basically the businessmen, and businessmen says that we are basically giving the money to the government. We are giving money to the government, and government basically are not the god, right? Government basically are not the god. That also because if they have the information, then only basically they are going to take certain action. So assume that 500 city are going to pass the power supply, sorry, is passing the power supply to the Mumbai, and Mumbai basically created on the base of 800 user stories. So as per the user stories are getting generated, as per the power supplies are getting generated, lots of things are happening that basically the cities are basically not able to track. The government basically might be able to track that, but if government is tracking, then basically they are telling them how basically we are going to stop this, that basically the question might arise. So for that basically this is the only option, that is basically not to pass the power supply, but that also basically it's not possible. because you should know each and every combination of the power supply, because it might possible that seven friends basically, for that basically you should know the combination of that seven friends, up to what level the seven friends stories are connected. It might possible that entire 800 user stories might be connected with this seven friends user story, that is basically the 200 user stories. It might be possible, right? So for that basically you should know the entire user stories, and that basically it's not possible, because that only basically the god knows the user stories. That's why basically the god are basically in the temples. That's why the god are basically kept in the temples. So you can just see the imagine the you can basically just imagine the land basically which has created in the earth planet. So same way basically the human basically of the earth planet are also basically generating the user stories, and all user story basically are captured by the Bollywood industry. That's why basically they are earning lots of money, right? That's why basically they are earning lots of money, and that's why basically the public is respecting them. There might be any reason that public is respecting them. There might be some reason, right? Without any reason basically how public will respect them, how public basically will say that yeah basically this person is good, this person is bad, how basically they are telling that. So there might be some reason, right? So the this is the main reason basically the Bollywood group basically says that we have the user stories information, and according to that only basically we are passing the power supply. According to that only we are passing the power supply. And power supplies are basically assume that earth planet has created around 7,000 user stories. Assume that till now basically as on today earth planet has created 10,000 power supply. As on today means 6th July basically is the today's date. And on 6th July basically the earth planet is telling that we have created the user stories, that are basically 7,000 user stories basically we have created till now. So 7,000 user story means 7,000 power supply chain basically you can say. 7,000 power supply chain basically we have generated, and we are basically passing this 7,000 chain in across the whole world. And according to this 7,000 user stories only basically the whole world is getting the data. Whole world basically is getting the data. So lots of people will say that we should know basically if we are staying in any of the land. We should know, for example, if we are staying in Mumbai, then basically we should know that Mumbai is basically created on the base of 800 user stories, and which 500 basically which data this 500 power supply companies are basically passing. That user story we should know, but that for that basically why public are supposed to know this, because public are not supposed to know, right? Because they are getting money of this, no, but they are staying there, right? They are staying there, and anything happens then basically by default they are only going to get effect. They are only going to get effect. So this all basically who is supposed to take care, that is basically one is the government, second is the Bollywood group industry basically, who are basically are connected with the publics, and that are basically the government and Bollywood groups. And in this between basically if anything big happens, public basically reacts, and basically the Seva group basically comes into the picture. Seva group basically created by the government only, they comes into the picture to do the shanti in the city. So government basically has created lots of things basically, right? Government has created lots of things basically in the city, so that the peace should happen in the city. Because the user story which was passed by 500 power supply, 500 power supply company, that was basically wrongly passed. That was wrongly passed. And the power supply basically experts basically they might know that They have basically generated the in this world, basically assume that there are 7,000 power supply chain basically which are generated. So which power supply has to pass to which country, which city, that basically each and every basically the businessman is supposed to know, right? That's why basically they are earning the money. If they are earning the money, then basically at least they have to do something, right? If you are earning money, then basically you have to do something, right? For that, basically the businessman says that our people are doing the work. Na? Our people basically are doing the work. Our employees are basically doing the work. Our employee basically are doing the work. So here basically the user story is, here basically we have taken two user stories. One is of Mumbai and another is of Vadodara. Same basically as Mumbai, basically Vadodara city is there. In Vadodara city is also basically generated. Assume that Vadodara city has generated from 1,000 user stories. 1,000 user stories Mumbai, Vadodara city has generated. And Vadodara city has taken around 1 lakh planets to create Vadodara land. Just see basically how dangerous the thing is, topic is. How dangerous the topic is actually. Vadodara city basically has created from 1 lakh stories. And Vadodara city is also passing, Vadodara city is also getting 1,000 power supply data. So 1,000 basically power companies basically are passing the data to the Vadodara city, right? 1,000 city basically is passing the Vadodara city. The 1,000 power supply companies are passing the data to Vadodara city. So which type of power supply basically Vadodara is supposed to pass, and which type of power supply Vadodara is not supposed to pass? That basically the Vadodara businessmen basically in Vadodara city, who are the businessmen, who are the number one businessmen. That basically everybody knows that who are the uh, big businessmen in Vadodara. In Vadodara, basically it's a Gujarat. It comes in the Gujarat. So Gujaratis are basically mostly the rich people. Few basically groups are there. Basically, they are also basically rich people. Few basically Amin groups are there. They are also basically very rich people. Few Patels are there. They are also rich people. So they are taking money from the government, right? And few basically I think Reliance are there, or Reliance all basically also are there. So these groups basically are there. So this group basically knows the 1,000 power supply company basically are passing the data to the Vadodara city. So according to that, only the Vadodara city is basically getting created. According to the user supply, basically which data is getting passed, the what data basically power supply company is passing, that basically the each and every businessman basically knows. So here basically the user story basically has generated, that is of two city, that is one of the Mumbai and another one is the Vadodara city. Vadodara city says that 1,000 power supply company chain are basically passing the stories to the Vadodara city. And according to the story which is passed to the Vadodara city, according to that only the land is basically generated. How basically the subscription plan basically groups are going to come into this picture, that also basically we are going to discuss. Mumbai basically city basically generated user stories. Landscape got created of the Mumbai land. 500 power supply chain basically is getting passed in the Mumbai city. According to that user story, 500 which user stories are basically passing that power supply chain company basically knows. And this basically Mumbai city basically might be knowing in advance. Why? Because Mumbai city is getting 2 months advance power data are basically passed in 2 month advance. That's why basically the in advance basically the user stories are basically passed. The power supply data are passed in advance so that basically they can be ready. Whatever the data basically they have passed. So this the power supply chain basically which they are passing the data of the 2 months, that basically the Mumbai city is supposed to know that 2 month data is already passed to the power supply company. Same way basically in Vadodara city, the 1,000 power supply companies passing the data of the 2 months in advance. So what data basically they have passed, and the data basically which the data is already passed. The data is already passed. If you are not going to use that data, then basically the audit team basically of the power supply chain is going to track you, and they will say that why you have not passed this data. That basically is going to create some big more issues. So that's why basically the data which is passed, that basically you have to 100% you have to pass. So here basically in next video basically we are going to see how basically the subscription plan groups, that is basically the World Bank groups, have the role in this Mumbai Vadodara city, Mumbai user stories and Vadodara user stories, and 1,000 power companies and the 500 power companies, how these groups are connected with the world